23-20. Detroit Lions come away victorious. This is the final game that Matt Eberflus coached as head coach of the Chicago Bears. Let's take a look at the top 5 graded Detroit Lions. In this one, guard Kevin Zeitler. Having an all-pro year. Crazy. 34 years old. We thought this guy was going to retire. He might be hanging him up. He's having one of his best seasons ever. Unbelievable job from him. Offensive tackle Penei Sewell, 88.9 overall grade at number 2. Frank Ragnow, we have at number 3 at an 84.0. Edge rusher Zadarius Smith, a 77.5. And then number 5, Al-Quadin Muhammad with a 73.2. Jared Goff in this one, a 78.9. On the other side of things for Chicago, Darnell Wright, the highest graded Chicago Bear in this one, 78.5. Cornerback Kyler Gordon, a 77.1. Guard Matt Pryor with a 74.3. Wide receiver DJ Moore, 74.2. And then linebacker TJ Edwards, a 72.6. Caleb Williams in this game, a 62.4. Stat that told the story here, Dalton.
Simple. If you're preparing for a short week and you have the privilege, like the Lions, to have an offensive line that they do, it's not real hard to prepare. You go, we're going to line up and we're going to get behind these 5 guys and we're going to beat crap out of somebody on Thanksgiving. And that's what they did. They, 5.9 yards per carry in this game, especially in the first half. They milked almost the whole clock. What did they have, 22 or 23 minutes just in the first half? 140 yards after contacts. Both backs, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, running well. 10 first downs on the ground. And the right side of that offensive line, like you mentioned, Ragnow, Zeitler, Sewell, monsters. The Lions, this game got tight because they kind of let it get tight. They kind of let off the gas a little bit in the second half, and Caleb, of course, has kind of the Jekyll and Hyde going of playing well in the second half when they need to come back and do all of that. But at the end of the day, the Lions stuck to their identity on a short week, and they ran the hell out of the football, and that's what made the difference in getting that lead and making it just barely insurmountable enough.
I originally had this as most disappointing, but I'll actually flip it to the stat that told the story. Bears' first quarter offense. You have brought this up before, earlier in the season, how the Bears have just struggled mightily out of the gate. In this game, started the game with 3 and outs. You can't do that against the Lions. Game's already going to be over. It's like what we talked about with the Commanders and the Titans. Like, snap your fingers. It's 28-0. Now, it wasn't 28-0 in this one, but it felt pretty demoralizing watching the Lions just continue to go to work on the offensive side of the ball, and you can't even get a first down through your first 3 possessions. So, to me, this game was going to be a almost insurmountable challenge when you had those three and outs to start this football contest, and you got close at the end. You got into a chance where you had the ability to tie the game up with a field goal, but I think that then sort of goes into my most disappointing is Matt Eberflus overall, who's no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Bears 4-8 on this season. Eberflus was 14-32 overall. He was 5-19 in one-score games. He was 3-19 on the road. I mean, it's just no matter how you slice up his record, it was not good enough. Now, I want to go into the late game situation because the Bears actually had a chance to tie this thing up. So they're in field goal range. The clock's winding down. They got a timeout. Caleb Williams gets sacked. And there's 32 seconds left in the game. And a lot of people are screaming, you got to call a timeout there. And Matt Eberflus after the end, and they don't call a timeout, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, well, now Caleb gets up, and the offensive line gets set, and now he's getting in the play, now he's relaying the play, now he's seeing the defense. Now all of a sudden, there's like 6 seconds left on the clock. He hikes the football, he throws it deep down the field, boom, it's incomplete, the game is over. It looked unbelievably mismanaged in the moment. And Eberflus after the game, now I want to be fair to him, because I don't hate what he said afterwards about using the timeout. It is not logicless what he said. There is logic into him saying, well, we wanted to keep the middle of the field open. So on the next play that we had, we knew that we had to get because of the sack, we knew that we had to get more yards to get into field goal range. So I wanted us to be able to call any play, not just a play to the sideline, to be able to get a couple of yards and then be able to call that final timeout wherever we ended up. Because, you got to think about this too. Like sometimes, okay, you get the catch and you feel like you got to go down. He wanted his guys to think, okay, well, I can go get yards after the catch as well. I can make it an even easier field goal. And then whenever you go down, you call a timeout. I understand how they could have gotten to that point. The issue that I have with it is how unprepared literally everyone on the team was outside of Matt Eberflus for that to be the case. if that's your logic, everybody else needs to be on the same page. And it was very clear nobody was on the same page. When Caleb Williams got sacked, Caleb thought they were going to call a timeout. Offensive line thought they were going to call a timeout. Wide receivers certainly thought they were going to call a timeout. So then they don't. Then Caleb gets up and looks to the sideline, and he's getting things in. Okay, all right. Well, now I got to call the play. Now I'm getting the play in my headset. We're not calling a timeout. Okay, I'm understanding the logic now. All right, now I got to relay this to my wide receivers. The wide receivers are like, okay, I guess. Now Caleb's like, as a rookie, remember, like you're not just, this isn't a veteran quarterback. This is a rookie. So Caleb now has to sit back in shotgun and assess the defense. He can't just, okay, this is how the defense is exactly aligned. I've been in the league 10 years. I can immediately snap the football and know where to go with it. He's a rookie. So to me, it was a complete fundamental fumbling of communication and preparation. I don't totally hate where he was coming from, wanting to use the timeout after a completed catch there. But what we talked about yesterday is you can have that logic. But once that clock gets to 20 seconds and you realize that you're still nowhere near snapping the football, call the timeout. Because then you have adequate time to hike the football, make a throw. You get there, you could run up to the line of scrimmage. Oh, well, I guess that they wouldn't have been able to spike it because it would have been third down.
So the spike was off the table
because it would have been fourth down. But you would have been able to maybe get the field goal unit on.
Generally, it's if you're going to run the field goal unit on with the clock running, you need about 16, 17. All right, so if you take a timeout at 32, 31, okay, when Caleb gets sacked.
If you would have taken it at like 22, you probably you could have maybe got
And this is the thing, if you got to 22 to 24 and saw nobody's on the same page, you could even do it then. Right. And then go, okay, listen, quick slant, 8 yards, get down, run it on, right? And I think that's what a lot of teams do. We've seen that win games before. At 32, you can comfortably do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't, if you do it right away, because most teams after a sack in the last minute, they're calling a timeout.
Right.
Even if it's their last one, just reset and create a new, fresh situation because you've got receivers running down the field that have to get back.
I like using the 30-second mark as almost like a placeholder for when I would use a timeout anyways.
Right.
If I got one left.
So if let's say you're at 31 and you take a sack and you call a timeout, the whole field's still of plenty of access to you.
Yes.
All you have to do then, because if you're running the field goal unit on with 22 left, you're good. You're comfortable. You just got to go out there and execute. And again, if you're rushing it, it's about 16, 17. But the fact that there were two windows to call a timeout there, and like you said, it just looked like nobody was prepared for the situation, that's what really ultimately did him in. And it's not the only late game situation where we've seen the Bears struggle over the past, 3 years now. I mean, it's just kind of become a part of the fabric, hasn't it? But that's the problem, is you can't have that be 5-19 in one-score games makes no sense whatsoever. You're supposed to be something close to 500.
Close to 500.
Over
right.
that big
the league is
over that big a sample.
Yeah. You are bad at what you do if you are 5-19.
Yeah. I mean,
and very clearly, this is another example. They were not prepared for this.
Right. I mean, it's just one of those things that generally regresses, but that can happen. Situational football is everything in the NFL. It's why the Patriots used to win every week. It's why the Chiefs win every week now, for as much as, okay, they're not blowing teams out or whatever. They win the situations, and the Bears haven't done that. And that does come down to preparation and coaching.
I actually don't know the answer to this. Can anybody call a timeout on the team?
From the sideline, it's supposed to be the head coach. But on the field, like if Caleb thought, which I'm not even zero blame.
Not even Caleb, though. Like, if Keenan Allen understands it's an absolute shit show.
I think so.
Could he have called
especially because that happens too. Like if he's the one that catches the ball and then goes down, he could call it. If you're on the field, I just can't remember
because I know like some high school sports, it's like okay, like captains can only talk to the ref or whatever, and it's like I wonder if can head coaches or quarterbacks only call timeouts?
It's rare, but I'm pretty sure anyone on the field can call a timeout.
I think so,
as long as someone sees it. But on the sideline, it can only be the head coach.
Yeah. Not that I'm putting blame on the players at all whatsoever.
No, zero.
But
absolutely
no. I'm not at all whatsoever. I just think how funny would it have been as like an absolute mutiny if like Keenan Allen, for example.
Would have been a mutiny. It would have saved the game.
No, I know.
I'll take a mutiny if it wins me a ball game.
No, I know. But you know what I'm saying. Like if Keenan Allen calls that timeout and then they go, Oh, okay, yeah. Good timeout. And they kick the field goal and they go to overtime, whatever, even if they win or lose. That locker room's the same after the game. That locker room's like, hey, buddy. Because that was the report afterwards, is Eberflus tried to give the team a speech of like sticking together when times are bad or whatever, and apparently it erupted. Like the players were not having it, and that's obviously why he gets fired.
Because this is the fourth game recently with late game stuff that they've lost.
Anyways,
that they feel like they could have won.
Most impressive, Detroit Lions. We got to talk about them a little bit. Zadarius Smith continues to look fantastic. 1.5 sacks in this game, 18.4 pass rush win percentage. Over the last 3 weeks, 21.3 pass rush win percentage, 2 sacks, and an 81.9 pass rush grade. I mean, he has been everything that they could have possibly wanted from him when they traded for him at the deadline. So Zadarius Smith continues to be a key piece for this team that seems to suffer injuries, and it doesn't matter, which is crazy that they are this good.
You hope for their case it doesn't matter. Could matter eventually.
Maybe.
I mean, now they've lost Malcolm Rodriguez for the season now.
Right.
Those guys dropping like flies the other day. It's
still playing well.
It could be a problem, but
most impressive. Who you got?
I'll tell you what, Penei Sewell at right tackle. He doesn't just block people; he steals their souls, man. It's every single week with this. No pressures allowed in pass protection, first of all. 8 positive run blocks and a 91.1 run blocking grade. And I'll tell you mentioned it with Kevin Zeitler at right guard. Well, he must be real comfortable playing between Sewell and Ragnow, just going, okay, I can do my assignment. I don't got to make up for anything these two do. But on the short list of best offensive linemen in football in that conversation, Penei Sewell's absolutely there. I mean, we talk about it all the time. He's everything they ever hoped he would be and some. Just dominant. You get off the right side of this offensive line against any team, and they're rolling. It's too easy for them.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.